Welcome to Reversed.
I am Dr. Philip Ovadia. I am a cardiac surgeon and an expert in metabolic health, and I want everyone to stay off of my operating table. And that's why I'm so excited to be here to talk about the effects of diet on heart health, and specifically let's talk about some of the aspects of the carnivore diet and how it relates to heart health. Hi, I'm Dr. Philip Ovadia, and I am a practicing cardiac surgeon, a practicing heart surgeon, and I have been increasingly focused over the past 6 years on how we can prevent heart disease, how we can keep people from needing heart surgery in the first place, and that's why I'm so excited to be taking part in Reversed. So I'd like to start asking all of you, what were some of the concerns that they had about doing the carnivore diet and how it might affect your health?
Yeah, so meat is bad. That's what you really always heard. And so going carnivore, that's what you're eating, meat. So, there's absolutely a hesitation. And I think for most people probably, initially when you start researching it, you find more critics than you do people that are, doing it. So it becomes scary, especially when you're talking about the heart and heart health. You go to the doctor and they say that there's issues with your heart. I mean, that's what keeps us alive, right? So
our entire lives, we have been told that meat is bad for our health. Meat is something that you need to be careful about eating. You need to eat it, in small amounts. You need to eat it infrequently, and even within, you need to stick to the leaner meats, right? You've all heard that?
Yep.
Yeah. Now, when you really look into what are the biggest risk factors for heart disease, so there have been many studies that have looked at this. Insulin resistance is a much bigger predictor of heart disease risk than LDL cholesterol, elevated blood cholesterol levels are. So that's one thing that I always try to correct people's thinking on. When you look at the studies, what you actually find is that the HDL cholesterol, the so-called good cholesterol, and we call it good because you actually want that number to be higher, that being high is better protection against heart disease than your LDL being low, your bad cholesterol being low. You can flip that around the other way and saying having a low HDL cholesterol puts you at a higher risk of developing heart disease than having a high LDL cholesterol. Your triglyceride number is even more important when it comes to predicting heart disease risk. The higher your triglyceride is, the more at risk of heart disease you are. And again, if you compare the risk associated with a high triglyceride to the risk associated with a high LDL cholesterol, there is more risk associated with the triglycerides. So let's talk about how do you raise your HDL cholesterol? How do you lower your triglycerides? Because we know that that has more impact on your heart disease risk than that LDL that we focus so much about. And it really turns out that the best way to lower triglycerides, the quickest way to lower triglycerides, is to stop eating carbohydrates. We tend to see as triglycerides are coming down, HDL will start to come up. When you improve your insulin sensitivity, when you reverse insulin resistance, and again, best way to do that is by lowering carbohydrate intake. I personally benefited greatly from doing a low carbohydrate diet, and I was able to reverse and overcome my lifelong battle with obesity. I was able to reverse my pre-diabetes, and I strongly advocate for low carbohydrate diets as the best way for us to improve our overall health and our heart health in particular.
somebody says, hey, heart disease runs in my family, I've also heard like it's what you put in your mouth that really causes, heart disease. Is that a true statement? That yes, it's
Ultimately, genetics do play a role, but I think it's a small role. And I think even someone who has a strong family history of heart disease, so they're going to be at more risk of heart disease than someone else that, doesn't have that strong family history, you can still lower your risk. It's not a predetermined. No one is at 100% inevitability of, getting heart disease just because, their family, it runs in their family. I would rather have a bad family history and be doing a carnivore diet than have a good family history and be doing a standard American diet. One of the things we know about the carnivore diet is that it lowers inflammation in the body. People with carnivore diets describe all of these things, that have to do with inflammation getting better. Their joints feel better. Inflammatory conditions like arthritis get better. Their gut inflammation gets better. Carnivore diets lower inflammation, and inflammation, again, is one of the primary drivers of heart disease. And so that is another reason that I believe that the carnivore diet is good for the health, good for the heart.